All right, today we pause to reflect the huge debt of gratitude that we owe to veterans for being a part of defending freedom. They have won and preserved our freedoms. And if you come across a veteran today, I would certainly encourage you to take a moment and thank them for their service. I remember when I first joined the Marine Corps post-Vietnam, I served with a lot of guys who had been in Vietnam. And in fact, still today, guys who served in Vietnam are still wrestling with the way they were treated when they came home. It's encouraging to see how we're treating veterans today, but it's not always been that way. So I encourage you to take a moment to thank those who have served in our nation's military. And joining us now to talk more about this is FRC's own Vice President, Executive Vice President. He's a founding member of the Army's Elite Delta Force, Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. General, welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you, Tony. It's really good to be back on this special day.
And thank you, sir, for your 36 and a half years of service in the nation's military in the United States Army. Let me just start with kind of on the personal side of this. You know, for those in our audience that may not know your story, what initially led you to join the Army?
Yeah, that's a good question. I grew up in rural North Carolina, and my dad was one of 6 boys. And 5 of those boys went off to World War II, and my dad was the only one that was wounded. But they served, and at family gatherings, they would talk about their time in the military. They would talk about the things that they did, they saw, and the people that were so special to them. And as a result of that, I just sort of decided that it was an expectation by my dad and the other members of the family that I should serve the nation, even if it was only for, one tour or one enlistment or whatever. So I said, I'm going in the military as soon as I'm eligible, and I did, right out of Virginia Tech.
And when you went in, you caught the tail end of Vietnam. I went in the early 80s, so it was over. However, the military's not always been treated, our military veterans have not always been treated well. As you heard me say, I recall serving a lot of Vietnam veterans who really were, they were not treated well when they came home. So you've seen both the good and the bad of how we've treated our veterans.
Yeah, what a contrast, Tony. What an absolute contrast between getting off the airplane in San Francisco, coming out of Vietnam and being spat on and ridiculed and called baby killers, and I mean that was the plight of our Vietnam veterans, and it cut scars very deeply into those people because they left a nation that no longer existed when they came home. And it was heartbreaking for them, and many of them are still carrying those scars. But then you go to how they've been treated today. As for example, I'm getting ready to get on an airplane here in a minute, and I guarantee you, if there's anybody on that airplane that the crew is aware of that they are military, they will call their name, and the airplane will applaud. So America learned something from the way we treated the Vietnam veterans. It was a national disgrace, and now I think we have done much better. And you can't make up for what we did as a nation in Vietnam during the Vietnam era regarding our veterans. But you can certainly make sure that no future generation has to endure that. And I think that it's a testament for who we are as a nation. John Kennedy says you'll know the character of a nation by the way it treats its veterans.
And it certainly is encouraging. It's one of the positive points that we look at when we look at our military. Unfortunately, when we look at what's happening in our military with the social engineering, and yesterday I made reference to this, over, I think, about 3 dozen Navy SEALs have had to file a lawsuit against the Biden administration for refusing to even consider their religious exemption request over this COVID vaccine or shot mandate. There's a lot of problems within the military, the way it's being, I guess, engineered socially through these Democratic administrations.
That's right, Tony. And there are, they say, well, 80% of the military is indoctrinated or is vaccinated, sorry. But what they don't tell you is that we bullied about half of those. We bullied them into taking this vaccination. Even those that had already had COVID, we bullied them. I can tell you story after story, Tony, of people that have reached out to me and said I was given 1 hour to make a decision as to whether I was going to start out processing of the military or whether I was going to take that vaccine and be allowed to stay in. And I got a family, and I didn't know what else to do, so I took the vaccination. It is bullying. It is bullying, right. And this president needs to be held accountable.
Well, even in the lawsuit that the Navy SEALs filed, they stated that they were told by the Navy's COVID Consolidated Disposition Authority that if they refuse the vaccine, the Navy may seek to recover from each service member the amount of money that had been spent on their training, which could have been $1 million or more. I mean, you talk about bullying, that's bullying right there.
Yeah, or give them a dishonorable discharge, which means they're barely even a citizen of the United States anymore. They can't vote, can't own a gun. And I'll tell you, that is Gestapo tactics. That's Joseph Stalin.
Right.
I mean, I tell you, Tony, it upsets me so much. And I'm glad these SEALs are fighting back. God bless them. I've become a big advocate for the SEALs because they had the courage to stand and be counted. And I hope that this winds up in the Supreme Court and we get a resolution on this that goes in the favor of military readiness and the people that are serving.
Well, there are some big problems in our nation's military, and I think to correct them, it's going to require an election and a change of administrations that realize the military is there, as you often say, to fight and win wars. It's not there as a laboratory for their social experimentation. General Jerry Boykin, always great to talk with you. Safe travels today.
Thanks, Tony, and thanks for your service as well.
Thank you. All right.